So I finally played The Elder Scrolls 2 Daggerfall. As a full-blown Skyrim fanboy, I figured, hey, maybe it's time to check out the classics I've shamelessly ignored. What could go wrong? Spoiler, a lot. But before the Daggerfall veterans come at me with torches and pitchforks, let me be clear. I know this game is ancient, I'm not expecting Elden Ring levels of polish or even Oblivion levels. Daggerfall was a game changer in its time. It walked so Skyrim could run its way into history. So I'll try to stay fair, honest, and not let my 2025 brain melt when the UI punches me in the face. If you like chaotic first impressions of classic RPGs and watching someone question their life choices, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. More of that is definitely coming. Now, a quick story. My dad actually had Daggerfall on a dusty old shelf when I was growing up. I was told it was too complicated, too slow, not fun, so I never touched it until now. So I downloaded Daggerfall on Steam thinking, cool, I'll just launch it and it'll work totally fine. And it did, and it didn't. I had to mess with some DOSBox settings just to get it to full screen, but once that was done, I was off to the races, kind of. The intro cutscene, absolute cinema, genuinely epic. I was pretty hyped. Then I had the character creation screen, and of course I picked the long, overly dramatic dialogue tree to build my character because apparently I hate myself. After fumbling through the skill point system like I was filing for taxes for the first time, I was finally in game, and then I discovered the controls. Moving with the mouse felt like I was trying to steer a shopping cart with a broken wheel, and combat, even worse. Luckily, my viewers came to the rescue. Okay, well, they dragged me to safety. I changed some keybinds, tweaked a few things, and suddenly I was kinda sorta playing the game in a way that made sense, but not for long. I immediately ran into a glitch where a door wouldn't open, forcing me to awkwardly backtrack and find another way around. It was at this point I was still trying to enjoy the jank, you know, the authentic experience. My chat was like, dude, just install Daggerfall Unity. Stop suffering. Please, we're begging you. Wait, there's a version of this game that doesn't run like a potato? So I downloaded it, and suddenly it all made sense. The game looked better, the controls were actually usable, and thanks to even more viewer advice, I decluttered the screen and could finally see what was going on. For the first time, it felt like I was playing a real game. So I fought my way through the intro dungeon, now with controls that didn't make me want to cry, thanks again to my viewers, and finally made it out. After thanking the Greybeards for guiding me through that hellhole, I opened the map, and holy shit, I was dumbfounded. Dude, wait, what the fuck? Is this serious? How can a game from the 90s have a map this huge? Yes, I know it was procedurally generated, but still, the sheer scale is ridiculous. Thousands of towns, endless dungeons, it was overwhelming in the best and worst ways. Anyway, I figured it was time to fast travel to the main city and continue the main quest. Right? Wrong. Apparently there's a level requirement before you can even touch the main storyline, which honestly kinda sucks, but I'll rant about that later. So there I was, wandering through the city, minding my own business, when suddenly I'm ambushed by knights. Why? Because I had dared to rest in the street like a broke NPC. I lost my court case, yeah, there's a court system, got fined and decided it was probably time to get my life together, so I joined a guild. I think it was the Knights of the Rose, something chivalrous sounding. I walked in, signed up, got a quest, eventually. The game wasn't clear on how. To be fair, maybe my brain's just rotted from all the Skyrim hand-holding I've had over the years, but clarity? Yeah, Daggerfall doesn't know her. So I finally get this quest and head off to a new dungeon. Exciting, right? Well, this dungeon took me an hour and a half to find one guy, and according to chat, that was a medium-sized dungeon. I searched every nook, every cranny, every slightly suspicious wall texture. I eventually found the guy, killed him in like 10 seconds, and then spent another 5 minutes trying to find the exit. I mean, look, that's not a map, that's a war crime. So I head back, ready to reap my rewards. Nope, nothing. No loot, no XP, not even a good job, just a pat on the back and don't get used to it. Whatever, I grab another quest, and thankfully this one goes smoother. Found the guy quickly, got it done, but by this point I started to realize this is kind of the loop. Quest, dungeon, kill a guy, repeat. Chat reminded me, hey, there's more variety later, but it's definitely a dungeon crawler at heart. As for combat, meh. It's not great, but it's 1996. Hitting enemies often feels like a flailing in a void. It's janky, the feedback is weird, but I'll cut it some slack. We still get bad combat in 2025. The UI though? Man, at first it was a cluttered mess. It took me a while to wrap my head around everything, and the game explains nothing. And no, I'm not counting the user manual that reads like a medieval law book. You want to check your guild rank, figure out leveling, understand why you're not progressing? Surprise, you literally can't level up in a guild until a month after joining. No one tells you that. You just wait. That said, after a while you do get used to it. I've heard people say the UI is terrible, and yeah, it kind of is, but it's not unusable. Except for that weird panel that just sits there taking up half your screen for no reason, that's definitely bad. Thankfully you can hide it. Now let's talk about something actually good. The dialogue system. Honestly, it blew me away. You can ask about everything. People, places, rumors, nobles. I mean, the world feels alive in a way that's surprisingly deep even today. Sure, not every line is gold. Some responses repeat, but for a game this size from that era, it's pretty wild. Even if it's all technically generated, it's still more immersive than most modern games. Lest I remind you, Bethesda tried this with Starfield and caught flack for being flat and lifeless, but Daggerfall did this better. in 1996. Let that sink in. Look, this game is a role-playing game, and when it leans into that, it nails it. And to give credit where it's due, the lore in Daggerfall is dense, like thick, as the kids used to say before they were all born after this game came out. This world is packed. Nobles, provinces, cults, Daedra, royal drama. It's like Game of Thrones got lost in a Renaissance fair with a bad rendering engine. You could spend hours just reading and still not scratch the surface. And like I've done with the rest of the Elder Scrolls games, which you can check out right here, shameless plug, I want to talk about something that often gets overlooked. The feel. This is a huge part of any RPG, especially the classic ones, and Daggerfall definitely has a feel. Is it dated? Absolutely, but it's still kind of magical. There's a crunch of snow under your feet, distant howling of the wolves, and this strangely cozy atmosphere. It's kind of like you're walking through a haunted medieval Wikipedia. The music, solid, moody, immersive, and weirdly relaxing even when you're getting your ass handed to you by a rat. Now, don't expect voice-acted NPCs or cinematic dialogue. This isn't Skyrim with its moody Nords mumbling about arrows and knees. The only voice acting you're getting is from that intro cutscene, which, once again, absolute masterpiece. But despite all that, for a game from 1996, it's seriously impressive. The atmosphere carries a lot. It pulls you in if you let it. So overall thoughts. Look, I know I missed a lot, probably a ton, but these were my initial impressions and honest takeaways from my time with Daggerfall. First off, yes, the game is dated. It's almost 30 years old, but once I got past the quirks, I actually had a good time. Dialogue is solid. The atmosphere is immersive, and once you change the controls to something remotely human, it becomes genuinely fun, as long as it's not glitching into oblivion. That said, I can see the talk, quest, dungeon, kill, repeat loop getting old fast. After an hour and a half lost in a single dungeon, I was questioning my life choices. I do wish there was more quest variety, but hey, maybe I just didn't find those yet. But I also get it. It's a game from 1996, there are limits, and with that in mind, it's actually kind of amazing. The map is gargantuan. Like, absurdly huge, and role-playing is pretty deep. It doesn't just drop you into a region, it drops you into a world, and for the most part, it works. There are even some features I wish modern Elder Scrolls games had, like the info mode that labels and names things on maps as you hover and click. Little touches like that are just smart, even if the game as a whole lacks the polish of newer titles. Now, let me be honest. Yes, it's a classic. Yes, it has a beloved fan base, but also, it's janky as hell. Quests are often boring, loot's pretty much useless, I was lost half the time, and if I didn't have chat guiding me like spiritual Sherpas, I probably would have rage quit. But here's the thing, right? I'm coming from 2025, that's my frame of reference, and I think that matters. If you go into Daggerfall expecting Skyrim, Oblivion, or even Morrowind levels of quality, you're gonna have a bad time. But if you go in knowing this game is old, slow, weird, and unpolished, but also ambitious, massive, and full of soul, you'll probably come out loving it too. Look, it's not made for the TikTok short attention span generation, and honestly, I kinda love that. Once I adjusted, I had a great time, and I think you might too. This game is free on most platforms, and I'd say it's absolutely worth a try as long as you bring patience. A lot of it. So for my final rating, I'd give it a 7 out of 10. Look, it's clunky, it's old, but it's still got that spark that helped define what open world RPGs would one day become, or at least should be. Definitely worth playing. Now the real question is, should I play Morrowind next? Let me know down below, or honestly just emotionally prepare me in advance.